Hello, children! It's Christmas, and I have got a special Christmas story just for you all. Little Grey Rabbit's Christmas. It had been snowing for hours. Hare stood in the garden of the little house at the end of the wood, watching the snowflakes tumbling down like white feathers from the sky. Squirrel, who sat close to the fire, "Come in, you will catch cold." "I am catching cold and eating it too," replied Hare. "Hare, how long do you think Grey Rabbit will be? What is she doing?" called Squirrel. "She's at the market, buying Christmas fare for all of us," replied Hare, and he caught an extra large snowflake on his red tongue. It was growing dark when Squirrel and Hare heard the sound of merry voices and the ringing of bells. They ran to the door, and what should they see but a fine scarlet sledge drawn by two young rabbits, with little Grey Rabbit sitting cozily on the top. "Oh, Grey Rabbit, what a lovely sledge!" cried Squirrel, rubbing her paws over the smooth sides. "Grey Rabbit, our names are on it!" shouted Hare. "Yes, it's our very own," said Grey Rabbit happily. The next day Squirrel, Grey Rabbit sat on the sledge and Hare pulled them over the field until they came to their favorite hill. Hare sat behind them and away they went down the steep slope. The sledge flew like lightning. "Woo!" cried Hare. "Whoops!" But the slaves wouldn't stop. At last it struck a molehill, and over they all toppled, tumbling head over heels. Little Fuzzy Pig, the hedgehog, carrying a slice of bread and jam for his lunch, came to watch the fun. "I want a toboggan," he said softly, but nobody heard. "Look at me, toboggan, watch me." He made himself into a ball and rolled down the hill faster and faster. When he got to the bottom, there was no Fuzzy Pig to be seen, only an enormous snowball. "What a big snowball!" cried Squirrel. "It's a beauty!" said Grey Rabbit. "Help!" squeaking a tiny voice. "Get me out!" "What's that?" cried Squirrel. "That's a talking snowball," said Hare. "Isn't that interesting?" "Help! Help!" shrieked the tiny faraway voice. "Let me out!" "That's like Fuzzy Pig's voice," said Grey Rabbit, and she bent over and loosened the caked snow. Out came the little hedgehog, eating the bread and jam. "However did you get inside the snowball?" asked Hare. "I didn't get inside, it got round me," replied Fuzzy Pig. "Can I go on your sledge now?" Hare took the little hedgehog for a ride, but when Fuzzy Pig flung his arms around Hare's waist, he sprang shrieking away. "Never go sledging with the hedgehog!" he cried. So Fuzzy Pig ran home and returned with a tea tray. After him came a crowd of rabbits, each carrying a tray. They all rode helter-skelter down the slope, shouting and laughing. Squirrel, Hare, and Little Grey Rabbit took their sledge to Moldy Rap's house. They gathered holly and mistletoes, and Mole helped them to tie the bundle of berries on the sledge. Then they said goodbye and hurried home. Hare carried the holy mistletoe inside. He began to decorate the room, and helped by Squirrel, Little Grey Rabbit stood on the table making mince pies. The silver moon shone down on the white field. Up the lane came a little group carrying rolls of music. They walked up to Grey Rabbit's house, stood in a circle, and held up their music to the moonlight. "Now then, all together!" cried an important looking rabbit, and they began to sing in small, squeaky voices. "Holly red and mistletoe white, stars are shining with golden light. Holly red and mistletoe white, burning like the candles light. Holly red and singers, said little Grey Rabbit, and she flung wide the door. Come in, she cried. Come in and sing by the fireside. You look frozen and cold. She took from a fire a mug of primrose wine, and the carolers passed it round. Then they stood by the fire and sang all the songs they knew. Now we must be off, they said, when Grey Rabbit had given them hot mince pies. Good night, Happy Christmas! Squirrel, Hare, and Little Grey Rabbit stood watching them as they crossed the field. I think I shall take the sledge and toboggan down the hill by moonlight, said Hare. He seized the cord of the sledge and ran across the field to the hill. Then down he swooped, flying like a bird. Suddenly he noticed a dark shadow running alongside him. It was his own shadow, but Hare saw the long ears of the strange monster. Oh dear, he cried, taking to his heels, hurried home, leaving the sledge lying on the field. Did you come without the sledge? Asked Squirrel. Hare, I don't believe there was anybody there at all. You ran away from your own shadow and you have lost our lovely sledge. Better than losing my lovely life, said Hare miserably. I suppose we had better go to bed. I don't suppose Santa Claus will find this house with so much snow about. But he hung up his furry stockings all the same, and so did Squirrel. When all was quiet, Grey Rabbit slipped out of bed and filled their stockings with sugar plums and lollipops. Then she ran downstairs to the kitchen, where the fire flickered softly. She tied together little bunches of holly and made a round ball called a kissing bunch, which she hung from a hook on the ceiling. On Christmas morning, Grey Rabbit didn't wake until Hare burst into his room. Grey Rabbit, wake up! He's been in night. Who? Cried Grey Rabbit, rubbing her eyes. Santa Claus, claimed Hare, dancing up and down. Quick, come downstairs and see. Grey Rabbit dressed hurriedly and went down to the kitchen. Look what he bought me, said Squirrel, holding out a pair of fur mittens. And he gave me a musical box, cried Hare excitedly. Look at the kissing bunch, he went on. Let's all kiss under it. Robin the postman flew to the door with Christmas cards and a letter. It's from Mole, said Hare, twisting it over and over. You are reading it upside down, Hare, cried Squirrel impatiently. She took the letter and read, Come tonight, love from Moldy Rap. It's a party, cried Hare. Oh, Grey Rabbit, say we'll come. Grey Rabbit wrote on an ivy leaf, Thank you, dear Moldy Rap. Then away flew the robin with the leaf in his bag. All day long they enjoyed themselves playing games, telling stories, pulling tiny crackers, and crunching lollipops. They toppled to the hill to look for the sledge, but it wasn't there. Snow had covered everything. When it got dark, the three animals wrapped themselves up in warm clothes and started for Molly Rap's house, carrying presents for him. When they got near Mole's house, they saw something glittering. A lighted tree grew up by the path. Oh, whispered Grey Rabbit, it's a magical tree. On every branch of the little fir tree were lighted candles, and on the ground beneath were bowls of hazelnut, cakes, tiny jar of honey, and bottle of ale. What do you think of my tree? Asked Moldy Rap, stepping out of the shadow. Beautiful, they murmured. Is it a fairy tree? Asked Grey Rabbit. It's a Christmas tree, said Mole in his soft voice. It's for all the animals of the woods and fields. Across the snowy fields padded little creatures, all curious to see the glowing tree. Help yourselves, cried Mole, waving his arm. It's Christmas! Eat and drink and warm yourselves. Then every little creature ate the good food and drank the sweet ale. From behind a tree, Rat sidled towards Grey Rabbit. Miss Grey Rabbit, said he, I found a scarlet sledge in the field last night, and as your name was on it, I brought it here for you. Oh, thank you, kind Rat, said Grey Rabbit, clapping her paws. The sledge is found. Hare, Squirrel, Moldy Rap, come and see. Everyone crowded round to admire the sledge. On top of it was a fleecy shawl, and Grey Rabbit drew from under it three things. The first was a walking stick, the handle carved in the shape of a hare. "That must be for me from good Santa Claus," said Hare. The second was a little wooden spoon with a hazelnut carved in the handle. "That is certainly mine," said Squirrel. She put it in her pocket. The third was a wee bone box. And then little Grey Rabbit opened it. There was a little white thimble inside which exactly fitted her. "Only one person could make such delicate carving," said Grey Rabbit. "And that is Rat," said Squirrel. "Three cheers for Rat!" they all cried. Then Squirrel and Grey Rabbit climbed on the sledge and Hare drew them over the snow. "Good night, a happy Christmas," they called to themselves. Squirrel curled down under the shawl, but Grey Rabbit sat wide awake. Her thimble was on her finger, and her eyes shone with happiness. Hare ran swiftly over the frozen snow, drawing the scarlet sledge towards the little house at the end of the woods. Mistletoe white and holly red, the day is over and we off to the bed. Tired body and sleepy head, mistletoe white and holly red. Merry Christmas! And if you love my stories, please do subscribe to my channel and I'll be back soon with a new story for you all. Bye bye!